for the right cocktail, and we're talking about pills, specifically clonidine today. So, my name is Marsha, and if you suspect that you are neurodivergent, this channel is for you. And if you suspect that your child is neurodivergent, this channel is for you. I talk about my journey up until I received the psych eval at the late age of 40 years old. And then I talk about my experience since getting evaluated. So, this particular episode is about my very first patient visit with my psychiatrist, our initial evaluation of me and the medications that he prescribed. The other videos talked about the other medications, which were, let's see, buspirone for, let's see, that was for anxiety, and then lamotrigine for mood. This episode 4, we're talking about clonidine, and that was prescribed to me for sleep. So I told the psychiatrist that I was having issues sleeping, even when I'm really, really tired. My body's tired, my eyes are closing, but I'm getting up every 5 minutes to use the bathroom. I'm tossing and turning. And then, of course, I couldn't get rid of the stress that I was dealing with at home. Um, I'm sorry, at work. And I did have stress at home as well, but I'm very good with um, handling it. For example, when I suspected, and we'll talk about that in another video, that my child was neurodivergent, I got the psychologist involved. I told his PCP. I had the referral. We had individual therapy, family therapy, occupational therapy. I mean, I wanted to nip that in the butt. So bud, right? And then as far as stress with my spouse, I made sure that I got rid of that stress, right? I distanced myself. I did other things to make sure that that stress was not going to eat me alive. It's amazing how we will handle outside things, right? Well, when it comes to our personal internal struggle, we we take forever on rolling that ball. Uh, but the good news is it's never too late. And so, anyway, the reason for me not sleeping, another reason why I told the psychologist, is because there's so much toxicity at work. I could be in it, I could be out of it, I could be indifferent to it, I could be distanced from it. It doesn't matter. It is so toxic that it it just sucks you in, even if you don't want to be sucked in. They come and they get you. The fact that you don't want to be a part of it when they come and get you, that is going to bring you in the drama, because it's a perception of who are you. You think you're better than everybody else. You don't gossip. You don't have these feelings of animosity. You don't manipulate. Who doesn't do that in a workplace, right? Who do you think you are? So that is the type of nonsense that I was dealing with at work. And I was on my feet all day, for 12 hours a day, working in the emergency room. So I really, I really just was under a lot of pressure. And I noticed that my nerves were, I never had issue with my nerves before. So I told the psychiatrist that for whatever reason, when I sleep on my left side, my entire left side is numb. My entire, my feet all the way up to my arm, but most importantly, my hands, my index finger. And of course, he said I should go back to my PCP and inform my PCP so I can be referred to a neurologist, which I did do that later on, and I'll tell you about that visit at another time. But those are the reasons why I was having trouble sleeping. And I also told my psychiatrist when I was sleeping, I was very aware of the thoughts in my head. It's as if I wasn't sleeping. It's bizarre. My eyes were closed, but I was awake. I was snoring, but I was very much aware of the ruminating thoughts all night. So if I appeared to be sleeping for 8 hours, I had ruminating thoughts for 8 hours, and I was very very aware of them and what was going on in my brain, what was going on in my sleep, what was going on in my dream. It's as if I was really awake. And he said to me, that's, I've heard that quite a bit. I've heard, patients say they're sleeping, but they're aware of everything that's going on. In their brain, the thoughts that doesn't stop. And then he used the term racing thoughts, where it's just cyclical over and over again, and it's racing. You can't stop it. And he didn't say it, but when I told him that I worked in the ER, he had a look on his face like, "Oh God, that's stressful." And that's when I knew that I had to either change or just quit, or even put my 2 weeks notice in, whatever it is I needed to, because that was triggering my rest, my sleep, my neurological issues, my insomnia. And so he prescribed clonidine for me at a very, very tiny dosage at first. And I think after 30 days, he wanted to not increase it, but I think he had me taking like a half. So I would get a full pill, right? And I had to break it in half. And then after 30 days, I would take the whole thing. And then after that, after 2 weeks of that, I think maybe one and a half or something like that. So so I didn't know much about clonidine, but I do know that I did not like the effects it had on me. So even though I took it, right, I would sleep for maybe about 4 hours and then I would wake up. So I couldn't sleep until I woke up to for work. I slept and it interrupted my sleep. It allowed me to go to fall asleep really, really quick, because that's one of the issues I had, was falling asleep. Unless if I stayed in the bed and enjoyed like a really serene, quiet time, that would take me a while to fall asleep. If I watched TV, of course, or played with my phone, of course, I was never going to fall asleep. And most of the time, falling asleep music would work, like meditation music or anxiety relief music. That definitely worked and kept me sleeping for longer periods of time and put me into deep REM sleep. So, however, um, while I was going through this stress, I think the only thing that worked was reading for me, because my eyes would get really, really tired, and then I would fall asleep. And even at times, that still wouldn't work. So the clonidine really, really helped get me to sleep really fast. And then once I was asleep, of course, in my opinion, it was useless because I couldn't stay asleep, right? And I needed my rest in order to function the very next day. So on our visit, I think it was a 30 or 45-day visit, I informed my psychiatrist that it was waking me up. So he said, okay, let's increase the dosage. So now take two at night opposed to one and a half. So I increased the dosage, and I would feel, when I was off, only on my days off, I would be fatigued. I would be lethargic, maybe some feeling of malaise for 3 consecutive days. That's how. So the clonidine helped me sleep, but it was in my bloodstream. It was in my system for about 72 hours, and I did not like that feeling. And I said, I've got to do something about this, because yes, I'm sleeping, which is good, but I should be able to wake up refreshed. These are my days off. I got to do laundry, right? I would love to go outside and take a walk and get some vitamin D and get that fresh air. I have errands that I need to run. I cannot feel like I can't, get out of bed for 3 days because this medication is making me feel so drowsy. And so that's one of the side effects that happened to me when I was taking clonidine. It literally just slowed me down. It made me so unproductive. And it was during the time where I wanted to be productive. So that's a bit annoying for me. If I'm already experiencing a phase where I'm in my downtime and I really don't want to do anything, well, I'm not motivated anyway, right? But when I am motivated to get my life on track, to be productive, to make sure that everything is in order so that when I start my work week, I am not falling behind, the last thing I need is a medication counteracting my productivity or my feelings for productivity or my drive for productivity. So that I did not appreciate that at all. I did not like that. So when I was on my second call and I told my psychiatrist this, and then I also told him that I'm still having trouble focusing, and he still refused to prescribe me anything for focusing. So that drove me crazy, and I'll talk about that in another video about what I did with that. But for the most part, I found out after I left my doctor's visit, I mean, I had my psychiatrist visit, that clonidine, I just went ahead and looked it up, right? Clonidine, it was used for blood pressure. And I told my therapist that. So she said, "How was your visit? I'm so glad you went." And I just offered her the information about the drugs I was taking. She did not probe or ask any questions or anything like that. I just told her. And she said, "Clonidine? Why clonidine? Clonidine is usually prescribed for high blood pressure." And then she said, "Do you normally have high blood pressure?" I said, "No, my blood pressure runs really low, and I always get questions about it. Like, do you know, are you okay? Are you is your blood pressure really low?" And I would have to tell everyone, yes, my baseline is always, pretty low. And my therapist said to me, "So, well, if your baseline is really low, why would he prescribe you a medication that's going to decrease your blood pressure even lower?" And then I started to explain to her about the symptoms that I've been having, the side effects of it. And I said, "Yeah, because after I take it for sleeping at night, I'm still feeling the effects of it 48 to 72 hours later. I just really just want to sleep for 2 or 3 days. I don't want to get out of bed. And I do want to get out of bed. That's the problem. If I wanted to sleep in bed, that'll be a different story. But I do want to get up and start my day." So that is part four of the pills that I was taking, the prescribed medication, why I was taking it, and the side effects of me taking it. And I will see you in part five, where we talk about the next medication and what I did with this psychiatrist that I didn't feel was serving my needs very well. I'll get into that